right, good morning. Yeah, so welcome to the Cash In and Cash Out panel. My name is Daniel Kimotho, Ecosystem Lead for Kenya with the Celo Foundation. And with us today are some of the founders from the teams that have been able to give us 23 markets with Cash In and Cash Out capabilities. We'll get to hear a bit about their journeys, some of the challenges they face, and their plans for the future. Yeah, I'd also like to encourage you to keep your questions close. We plan to have a very interactive session. And I guess, yeah, we can get started. So we'll do a round of intros. Perhaps start with you, Franco.
Hi, good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm Franco Niebles from Cobru. Cobru basically is a payment gateway and a digital wallet in Colombia that allows businesses and people to buy and to sell with multiple payment methods such as credit cards, cash, and also crypto. With a simple onboarding that don't take more than 5 minutes, they can start using Cobru right away in their own wallet, in a Celo wallet inside, Celo dollars wallet inside Cobru. So that's it.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Kunbi. I'm the CEO of Alpha Fortress. We have a platform called SwapBitzer, and it's a global exchange for stablecoins. On our platform, business and retail customers can swap their stablecoins for local fiat in up to 40 currencies in over 50 countries. Our goal is to give as much opportunity for Celo token holders and other stablecoin holders easy off-ramp into mobile money, bank accounts, and e-cash across the world.
Hi everyone, I'm Felix Macharia, CEO and co-founder Kotani Pay. Kotani Pay is a Celo-enabled technology stack that allows people to access blockchain financial services, send and receive stable coins without the need for internet, smartphone, or a bank account.
I'm Szymon Sypniewicz. I'm co-founder and CEO of Ramp. We at Ramp are building a global access layer to Web3. We operate in 160 countries and territories around the world. We are regulated by British FCA and American FinCEN. We work with multiple Celo dApps, and we have an SDK that can let you very easily add a buy crypto, sell crypto functionality into your website, wallet, app, what have you. And we aim to be the frictionless experience for everyone, tackling all the friction points for end users using Web3. We are available for the entire Celo ecosystem, including CUSD and Cero, and some of the native assets of the chain as well.
Oh, nice. Thank you for the introductions. And we do like origin stories, so I'd like to know, how did you guys come to the ideas that you have for the services that you offer? How did you get to seeing the market opportunity in the current markets that you currently serve? And how many markets are each of you operating in right now?
I can take it.
Yeah.
So the origin story really started in 2017, early 2017, just before the Gnosis ICO. Some of you may remember. This ICO started the entire ICO bubble and madness. I was pretty much always into crypto, and in 2017, crypto was getting really hot, and me being, I don't know, probably 22 or 23, I was clueless about building companies and building products and running anything, but there was such a demand for people who know anything about crypto that I got hired. So I got my first job in a crypto startup. They were doing peer-to-peer lending on Bitcoin, and they were trying to get onto Ethereum and build a smart contract platform instead. And that was a very interesting experience. So I joined just at the very beginning of the bubble, and then I just realized that none of the things that people are promising to deliver for the money they got in the ICOs is going to be shipped, because the infrastructure is just not there. Like the wallets were not there, the UX patterns were not there, the on-ramps were not there. So I knew from first-hand experience that all of them are pretty much clueless or lying. And that was very disheartening, because I just really want Web3 to succeed. And so when I left the startup, I realized that, hey, I want to stay in this space. I want to solve important problems for this space. And I looked into all of these issues that I identified. And it turned out that, each and every of these issues was worked on by some capable and very sort of like formidable teams, apart from the on-ramping bit, because everyone was like, hey, Binance is solving that. And actually, Binance is not solving that. What you need is a payment flow, something that feels like a breeze. For those of you who are from Europe, it should feel like topping up Revolut, right? And we are nowhere there yet. So I decided, hey, this is a problem that is very important. Nobody loves this problem. I'm going to take this problem as my own, and I'm going to love it. I'm going to solve it for Web3 end users. And that was the sort of like origin story. We started in the UK, expanded to Europe, and now we are available in 160 countries. And getting more and more added, and there is like a big pull from the Celo community to add more in Africa, in Latin America. So I'm now sort of like amazed by the energy of the crowd and of the ecosystem and of the community, and we're just trying to do more.
Wow, congratulations for your success.
So our origin story began back in 2017, 2018. At the time, we were node validators for proof-of-stake blockchains. And as part of our work, we were expected to educate communities on the benefits and features of blockchain technology, private keys, public keys, wallets, smart contracts, the whole shebang. Then we soon realized, apart from the complication of trying to explain the technology to common users, there's this whole other aspect where the technology is completely disconnected in Africa from the interfaces that people use on a daily basis, as well as the local payment channels that they're used to. And so we set out on a new mission, and we wanted to accomplish what we couldn't do as node validators, and that was to bring more African users to the blockchain space. Kotani actually means accomplish in Swana. And the way we went about solving that was to, first of all, take SMS and USSD interfaces, connect them to the blockchain so that it's possible for a user to create an account from an SMS interface. That means if I have a feature phone, I can do that. If I have a smartphone, low-end smartphone, I can do that. And then also enable cash in, cash out to mobile money channels, most notably M-Pesa. So we started in Kenya, we expanded to Ghana, Zambia, and we're looking to be active in about 8 African markets. If you look at like crypto in Africa, 8 African markets account for most of the volume, and that's where we'll want our focus to be.
Wow, congratulations.
My origin story started with working on the continent. I was head of strategy for a large Pan-African bank, and we had operations in 33 African countries. So I traveled a ton on the continent, and one of the most pressing things that we struggle with is how money moves across borders. Africa is 52 countries, or maybe 53 states. Some of them are small as a hamlet, others are as big as half of Russia, right? And money doesn't move very easily in Africa, and we struggle to make that component move. So that started a seed in my head as to what's the issue, how does cross-border trade be facilitated? And this is before even crypto was becoming mainstream, or what we call mainstream now. And so that stuck in my head, and then I moved into the remittance space as a proper fiat-to-fiat player. And another struggle in the fiat world is they don't like crypto in the fiat world. It's just not the regulators, the banks, they just don't want to involve crypto. So you leave and exclude crypto users who need an opportunity to cash out or even cash in, as Szymon is doing very well. And you just leave them excluded, forced to enter the P2P market, forced to enter sharks, scammers. It's really a struggle. So that problem set was what I wanted to resolve, right? And then that's how we came up with our platform idea and said, if we give crypto users stablecoins, because I believe that's something that regulators are a little less concerned about right now. They're more concerned about volatility. If I say I'm using only stablecoins and I'm giving my customers access to what I like to use, exotic and non-exotic currencies, that gives a better sell to some of my regulators or some of my financial partners. And that was our entry into where we are right now.
Wow, congratulations, Kunbi.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, we started working with BAN, developing applications in the fintech sector for financial institutions in Colombia. So we take all this knowledge that we have with with all this work we do today, and this is the time to create something that for us, and that's how Cobru was started. It's a simple application that allows multiple users and merchants to start transactions, and not only with cash, because cash is really huge in Colombia. It's mostly the 90% of the money that is mostly through cash. And so we started doing stuff to people that said digital payments. And right now we accept crypto, Bitcoin on chain. So anyone in Colombia can buy something with Cobru using Bitcoin, Lightning Network, and also Celo dollars. So yeah, this is a long way to start educate the people to bring this to masses. That's the basic idea.
Right, wow, thank you. It's great to know about each of your origin stories and how you got to be here. But I'm sure the journey hasn't been all that rosy. There have been some challenges that you guys have been facing as you've been building out your teams, building out your products, expanding product lines, expanding into other countries. So would you like, maybe Franco, we can start with you. What's some challenges you faced along the way?
The biggest challenge at the beginning was the regulation of the banks, because in Colombia, the banks have a letter that anyone who operates crypto is like banned from that can't open a bank account. So in our first year of operation, they was close to close our main bank account. But we start talking with banks and with the financial institution what we do. We are not moving laundry money or nothing like that. So they understand what we do and let us operate. But yeah, that's definitely the biggest challenge is the regulations in Colombia. That there are no regulations, but they limit the things that we can do with crypto. So definitely, yeah, that's what the big challenge.
Yeah, I can speak on top of what Franco is saying. I mean, we're always one step away from partial shutdown or partial limitation of what we can do. So there is no proper written down in the markets that we operate in, both structured and unstructured markets. Nobody wants to write down what is allowed or not allowed, right? So you end up having to keep pushing the envelope and say, okay, would you let me do this and try that? The problem is that your customers don't understand that you are trying to find out what the barriers are. So customers are pushing you to get to that point. And then you have to explain to the customer, I'm sorry, I cannot process this transaction because my financial partner will not accept this, and he's not giving me any reason why. So we always end up having to find this balance between keeping customers happy, at the same time keeping the financial partners happy, because we are using traditional networks until the world becomes a utopia where nobody's using Visa, MasterCard, Barclays, HSBC. We are still stuck with having to use those pipes, and those pipes require us to have certain sort of guidelines before we can get to those pipes.
Maybe an additional piece beyond regulation was liquidity for us. So you're maintaining floats in both stablecoin and local fiat currencies in the various countries in which you're operating. And in some cases, demand in one market can overwhelm the amounts you have. And of course, there are ways to solve that. But like for us initially, getting those OTC relationships in place, working with local banks, then eventually thinking of models where you can source for liquidity from decentralized agent network. These things, take time. But liquidity was another challenge just beyond the regulation.
That's a very interesting question. I could sort of like add a little bit more color on my journey so far. So I come from a sort of like a legal background. I was meant to become a lawyer and work in law firms. So I really love my regulatory issues. I love speaking with regulators, checking the boundaries, and getting more and more access to more and more financial rails. We are doing reasonably well on that front. So that's probably not the main issue. If there are any issues, I just think it's fun to solve them. It's always, for me, it was always the biggest challenge to find good people. So good people are not only people who can do the job, but actually that are a great fit and share your mission and are with you to change something, not just to make money. And so that's a very interesting optimization process for every entrepreneur. How do I find people who are capable? And there are obviously very few people who are very good at fintech, very good at crypto, understand what we do, understand what we want to change. And then across these people, there are even fewer that are aligned in our core mission and values. And so this always has been a very, very big challenge. And I'm just delighted that in this community there are so many people who just seem very much aligned with what we try to do, and this is invigorating and just wonderful. I just wanted to say it.
Oh, thank you all for sharing your experiences with your challenges. Yeah, so as you prepare your questions, because I guess we'll go into that quite shortly, I think an additional question that I had is, I assume that you spend a lot of time thinking about how to get more people using the services that you offer, and how to generate more stablecoin demand, because perhaps that would mean more volume through the networks that you have already built. Would you like to share some of the things that may have crossed your minds in terms of how to get more people onboarded and how to generate more stablecoin demand so that there's more volume?
I'll take that question. I'll start with that question. I'm a problem solver. You know, if I can figure out a way to get the end payments to the most interesting part of the world, that's what keeps me up at night. So if I have one of the most interesting transactions that we've had to do was we had to help somebody buy horses in Argentina, and they had stablecoin, and they were high net worth individual, and they were playing polo, and they needed thoroughbred horses. So how do I get money out of stablecoins into USD, into Argentina pesos to buy horses? Once you solve that sort of problem, that individual will tell others in his network and say, look, these people know what they're doing. They can fix a problem that I have never been able to solve. You know, his traditional method would have been going to a bank. The bank would have taken anywhere between 5 to 15 business days to look at the transactions, look at the amounts, get to the destination bank, another 5 to 15 business days for you to clear, and then, you know, get the horse prepared. So if we solve the most pressing problem of stablecoin users, which is how do I get the currency into my own wallet for my own immediate use, they will tell other people. That's why I like crypto versus the regular world where you have to keep advertising and you have to keep promoting yourself. You just go viral. People will tell others about your service, good or for bad.
Yeah, and then maybe looking at Africa as a market specifically, generally you want to piggyback on trends that are on the way up. Lending is one very big one, mobile lending, and I think there are ways in which you can tap into that with DeFi. We're actually doing a pilot with Mula, Cinch, just to enable people to access some of the pools on Mula. And then you have things like remittance, I think someone mentioned here. Currency devaluation is a big deal in most of these markets, so savings products, and especially savings products aimed at saving circles, cooperatives. I don't think that's something that people are looking at, but it's worth the thought. Then crypto specifically, the crypto market in Africa is where most of the developed world was in 2013, 2014, so we're dealing with a lot of BTC, Ethereum trades, and doing some wrapped crypto derivatives and then bringing those to the Celo ecosystem, I think brings in a lot of liquidity to the Celo ecosystem. And then finally, of course, as Kunbi has alluded to, usability. So make it very easy for your users in your local market to use these stablecoins.
Usability is key. Like, stablecoins are already a fantastic product that has product market fit, arguably, and solves so many issues that we mentioned so many times in this and other panels. So I believe that we are very good on that front. We do not need to improve it. And Celo is just truly amazing with instant finality, very low cost, wide variety of different stable coins. So we're good on that front. What is really not yet here is this frictionless experience and reliability as well. So before we get to a point where users just don't even think about on and off ramping, we won't succeed, because what we really want to do, what we're really trying to do, is to solve real people's issues and problems. If we want to do that, we really need them to trust us that we can help them solve these problems. And unfortunately, right now, Web3, or like fortunately, Web3 got to a point where it is very reliable, very easy to use. Applications like Valora and others are simply amazing. It's just the access points that are just not yet there, right? And why these are not yet there? Because they are hard to use. There's a lot you can do about that, but also unreliable. And so introducing some reliability to it and making sure that every user really knows that their preferred payment method is going to work, whatever they would decide to do, is super important. And we are not there yet. On some of the markets, key to Valora, even our product, is not yet perfect. So there is still much work to do. And I welcome everyone who can push this front forward and see what we can do together to make it easy and reliable. And I feel like this is going to be a mixture of ingenious product thinking, regulatory strategy to make sure that you can get access to the best payment rails, that you can get the authorizations and permissions you need to operate in a way that makes most sense for your users. And it's going to take empathy, right? So we're gonna really need to figure out who your users are, what sort of friction they're facing when using these systems, and then solve it. Just like we did it with Web3 and stablecoins, which are now fantastic, we now need to apply the same ingenuity and empathy to on and off ramps. And I think this is a worthy mission, because once we've done that, it's going to be a completely new paradigm, completely new world. Just imagine what you could do with a global neobank like Valora, assuming that on and off ramping works frictionlessly all across the world. And you can move money at fraction of the cost, fraction of the friction, and reliably. So that's the future we're trying to build towards. And it's a very exciting future.
Yes, definitely. As part of that, on top of that, we are part of the group that helps to develop Chivo Wallet in El Salvador. So we have a little experience in how a crypto paradise will work. It's easy up there to pay with crypto, a burger, a pupusa, that is the popular dish in El Salvador, for example. And we came with all this experience, and we want to provide this to all the ecosystem, because we can connect and make bridges, for example, your product or my product, to these countries that are going to adopt crypto as a legal tender. Definitely will help to stable coins to be more popular and educate the people to how they use it. So yeah, definitely is the biggest thing that we can do.
Great. Yes, I can see some burning questions already. So let's have the mics, I think, at the front and somewhere at the back there.
Thank you very much. My name is Duncan Muchangi. I'm an investor in Web3. I just have a question. So Nobi alluded to this. You are one announcement away from being partially shut down by the regulators. And all of you seem to be building products that are heavily reliant on traditional finance rails. And so how are you protecting yourselves against this? Aren't you building towards a single point of failure? If at all, regulators woke up one morning and shut down Kotani Pay's accounts, what do you do? How are you building around this, and what future do you see with the regulators?
Question?
Thank you, Duncan.
You want to start, Simon? And I go?
Yeah, I can take it.
Okay.
So I would say that we're trying to be smart about it, but at the same time, we are trying to brute force this problem. But what I mean by brute forcing is just making sure that we have resilience for redundancy. So we already have 2 licenses on 2 continents. We're planning to expand that to at least 4 licenses on 4 different continents. And so the views of politicians and regulators could shift, but for sure there's going to be competition on the market. And some of the regulators are going to understand how blockchain is an industry that can give their local economies an edge, and are going to pursue a crypto-friendly policy. And so just making sure that you have enough redundancy in your company, you are multi-country, multi-license, multi-regulator, and have the mass to overcome any potential issues, gives you a massive advantage. So I would say, that's the brute force method, and then probably there are some smarter ones.
Yeah, I can piggyback on exactly what Szymon is saying, and it's quite correct. You need to have redundancies. It's expensive, but it's necessary. In any country that we operate, we try to have at least 2, if not 3 channels to pay out. It's not just a regulator alone that can stop you or put an impediment. It could be that the bank that you're dealing with that got you into that country and I speak from experience. We entered India a couple of years ago. We were super excited, had spent many years trying to open up that pipeline. And then our banking partner in India got into some quote-unquote issue with the government, and they got shut down for 6 months. All the other banks were open. Our bank just got closed. This is an entire bank. This is not us with the bank. The bank got shut down because there was political wrangling. And how do we plan for that? So we need to have redundancy so that if that bank goes down or that pipeline goes down, we have an additional pipeline to shift to. So I spend all my time thinking about multiple pipelines into one specific territory.
And it seems like we all think about the same thing. I would say the regulatory landscape is not the same everywhere. There are some countries in Africa that are looking at sandboxes, and they're looking at blockchain technology being part of these sandboxes. I think that's something you can leverage if you're looking to build an on-ramp, off-ramp in Africa, and it's important for you to be just beyond one country, and even within countries, it's important for you to have more than one channel.
Yeah, but in Colombia, for example, we also have a sandbox for crypto, but it's very limited what we can do inside the sandbox, so it's not make sense to be there. So we try to follow the rules that they made, but for on the other side, we move other things that really make value to the users. That's the idea.
Just on this point, I need to add this one. So through, resilience through redundancy is not limited to licensing. That's a very good point. It is also about pipes, but also like in our stack, if you could see how RAMP is built, we've got at least 2 of everything, like even 2 email providers, because one day, overnight, an email provider was doing a, just a swipe of all of the Bitcoin and crypto-related providers and operators, because they were trying to fight fraud and fraudsters running through their platform. So overnight, we were out of email infrastructure, and to log into RAMP, you need to use your email. So our entire system was done for like a couple of hours, and I had to use some personal connections to like call up the founder of that scale up, wake him up and fix it for me. It was like 2 a.m. for him. And since then, we just have double everything. So it's like resilience through comes from like this mass and brute forcing and redundancy.
Thank you, Simon. And I think we'll get a question from somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I think.
Hello. Yep, it's Ronan here from Trellis and Celo Tax. I'm interested where you see the business model for on and off ramps in 5 years' time. I suppose right now the business model relies on fees. I'm wondering if you think the business will get commoditized if you're forced to compete in apps like Valora, and whether that might force you to go vertical and become a wallet. If you look at TransferWise, which did FX, and you're basically an FX business, they moved now into being a neobank. So I'm curious where you see business model in 5 years. Thanks.
That's a very great question, even to wind up a panel.
Very quickly, yes, we're going to need to be vertically integrated, not necessarily through adding a wallet functionality, but ramp, like on-ramps are, how we define ourselves is not like an on-ramp. We are an access layer, and we solve every subsequent friction point of the end user journey, and there are many more than just the problems with on-ramping. There are like issues down the line up until you go to, you realize it's tax season and try to figure out how the heck you're going to file your taxes when you actually made 500 transactions that are considered financial transactions that you would need to pay tax on all the gains you made. And so I think TransferWise example is a very good example. I really hope that on-ramping could be one day free for everyone, right? I really, really hope that. And I think that there are great business models underlying this, because the on-ramping is essentially the best way to acquire users at the very top of the funnel. So that's it, I said it. I don't know when it's gonna come, but it's gonna come at some point.
And one would think of it as an evolution. Even if you look at mobile money, we started with all cash in, cash out, and that was their main business model, and they've been building on that business model. Lending is now something they do. Savings is something they do. So most likely, most on-ramp, off-ramps will have to move beyond just a fee-based model to lending and savings products, in DeFi and so on.
I try to see ourselves as a value-added service, Ronan. So yes, in any financial transaction, it becomes commoditized eventually, whether it's derivatives, whether it's CBOTs, anything that involves financial instruments, anybody who eventually can get scale will commoditize that market. So we try to see ourselves as a different value-added provider. So I see myself like a FedEx or like a UPS. I will deliver that last mile for you, right? And you will look at my service and say, you know what, that extra 1% basis points that I charge over the commoditized merits because he gets it done. So that's the way I've seen it happen. TransferWise got to that scale because they were very reliable. You know, people would move money through TransferWise and they got to the destination, usually on time, without fault. So we can also prefer that sort of value-added service to customers. And I'm talking of trying to get money to places like Malawi, Mozambique, Yemen, Palestine. If we deliver that off-ramp to those countries, people they'll pay the extra premium necessary because it gets there.
Yeah, I believe we rely in integrations. That's why we have a Celo dollar wallet inside Cobru and also a Bitcoin wallet inside Cobru. And in those countries that we are opening markets, it's easy to send Bitcoin or Celo dollars to their main wallet and then make the off-ramp to their currency. So yeah, integration for us and relying on that is very important to survive in this business.
Wow. And with that, thank you to our panelists for amazing answers and strategies that you've shared with us. And thank you all for your participation, your attention, and the questions.